Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another spooky season episode. Chris is at work, sadly, so I'm going to be doing this one alone, and I thought a strange topic for today would be emergency preparedness. So, as the old saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And if you wait until there's an emergency to fix what you need to fix or get what you need to get, you might get scalped, or at the very least, you might not actually be able to obtain what you need. So I think a good one right off the bat is, regardless of what emergencies you might have to handle where you live, having some knowledge of first aid is incredibly valuable. I was first aid certified. I've actually let that expire, but I still, in the event of an emergency, know the basics of what to do, and this goes beyond things like Heimlich and stuff like that, but also just if you have a burn in the kitchen or if somebody starts to suffer from hypothermia, it's still really good to know the signs of what you're looking for and how to take care of it. So I think one that a lot of people are afraid of, but if you can afford to, I would consider, besides regular maintenance, other car repairs as soon as you notice the start of a problem. So if you've got something under the hood that's making a little bit of sound, or if your tires are kind of on the edge of not being good anymore, if you have the money to fix it before you seize your engine or blow out a tire on the highway, I would absolutely recommend it, because having to pay for a tow truck or having to pay for an accident maybe is just going to make it that much costlier. Something else that we do that also helps us to prepare for anything is having an emergency fund. And if you're following something like the Dave Ramsey plan, that's only $1,000 in the early baby steps. But if we both lost our jobs, that wouldn't cover a full month of expenses for us. So we actually save $3,000 for emergencies, and even that is cutting it really close for a month, but that is enough time that if we really had to, we could just get another minimum wage job or something to help tide us over for a little while. Even though we don't get things like hurricanes and earthquakes where we live, we do get windstorms, blizzards, all manner of other fun weather things. So something else that happens more regularly if you live in the country around here, but it happens in the city too, would be power and or water outages. So water, it's less common to lose that around here, but if, they're working on a line, or if there's some sort of accident that shears off a hydrant or something, sometimes they'll end up shutting down water for a whole city block or a whole area. Or if you're out in the country, sometimes a pipe will burst, especially in the wintertime. And if you're without water, that sucks. So we actually have an emergency supply, and I only have a couple of gallons of water in it, but that's still enough to get us through for a little while. If you have a power outage, usually the water still works, but it's only going to be cold water, which I have taken frozen showers before. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. So because of that, if you suspect it could be a few days, it's so worth it to have some baby wipes on hand, just for little bits of cleanup, your armpits or whatever. Oh my gosh, it's so much better to just suck it up and use baby wipes on a small area of your body than to stand in icicles coming out of the shower head. The other thing, and this one, it kind of depends on if you have pets or kids, or if there's things in your home that are prone to playing with fire. We have a really good supply of candles, but either way, you should always have flashlights and extra batteries. And I don't mean your cell phone, because even on full brightness, my cell phone does not light up nearly as much as an actual flashlight. That even on full power, the cell phone flashlight is just so weak. And the other thing that you'll want to keep too is going to be either a charger that you can run out to your car and charge your phone, And or you'll want to have one of those emergency charger packs. They're really handy to have, even just for everyday life, like sometimes when you go camping or if you're going to be on a road trip. They're really, really handy to have. And mine actually has a built-in flashlight on it too, which is super cool. It's not a great flashlight, but a flashlight's a flashlight. And it's just so important to have a way to charge your phone so that if you need emergency services, you can hopefully make a call with that, or if you're texting family or anything like that. And of course, you are gonna wanna have food and water rations. Water, maybe not as much. I would save that in case the water stops working. But food, I mean, a lot of people run out and buy milk and bread, and bread's not nearly as bad, but like milk, what are you gonna do with that? You need to have some prepackaged stuff that's just going to be able to be opened and eaten and shouldn't have to be reheated, because even though you can get things like camp stoves and stuff, nobody wants to stand outside to use those. A lot of those are really dangerous to use inside. So it's easier if you just have like Pop-Tarts or cans of like fruit cocktail or something. That's what we have around here. So something else to have, especially because we get a lot of windstorms around here, but also just, you know, if your house burns down, as bad as that is to say, is to have some sort of like go bag in a place that's not actually in your home. So I keep a small stash of clothes in my car, and I also have a supply of contact lenses, some contact cleaner, like just all those little odds and ends, so that if everything in this apartment disappeared today, I could still, at least for a few weeks, have the basics of what I need to get by. The other thing that kind of ties into that too is to have a little bit of cash on hand. And I mean, I carry a little bit in my wallet. It's nice if you have to pay a toll and you weren't expecting it, or if there is a power outage. Some places, not very many, but some places will be open for emergency supplies, but they're gonna be cash only. So if you don't have cash on you, you're not going to be getting that stuff. Then of course, because blizzards are so good at knocking down the power lines, we also have all of those same supplies for a power outage. But then on top of that, I actually have, I don't know what you want to call them, like little heat packs that a lot of hunters like to carry in their pockets, where they have a little disc that you break inside of them to activate them, and it actually will cause the fluid inside of it to warm up. And the way you can like recharge them is you boil them, which obviously during a power outage you really can't do, but you can also buy them in like disposable packs. I don't like to do that just because I like to reuse them more, but on that same note, it's great to have a few on hand, just because if a power outage does last for more than a few days in the middle of winter, it is really nice to have a way to warm yourself up. I also have really, really good sleeping bags for us. I don't have ones for winter camping, but the ones I do have are rated down to 40 degrees. And if you have that and you pile on a bunch of blankets, you can actually stay pretty toasty and even break out in a sweat. And it's so important to at least have blankets to stay warm and to huddle for warmth if you live with other people, because like those little character novelty sleeping bags like SpongeBob or My Little Pony or whatever, those are really meant only for sleeping on like a 70-degree floor in someone's house. They're not really meant for going properly camping. And even in the middle of summer, it can get really cold overnight. Like it can be the middle of July and sometimes the overnight temp is still like 50 degrees. And even depending on where you live, it can be down in the 40s in Western New York overnight in the middle of summer. And you do not want to spend a whole night shivering. I've done that before. It's miserable. You're exhausted. Like your muscles hurt from all of like the contractions of shaking all night. Like it's so not worth it. It's so much better. Just drop like an extra 10 or 20 or 30 bucks depending, to just get a sleeping bag that's great for all occasions. And most of them now, you can zip them together to make them like queen size, or you can zip them from the bottom, which was something I couldn't do with the one I had as a kid. So like if you want to do the one leg out to stay cool thing, it's great. Like modern sleeping bags are so much better than the ones we had in the 90s. Like, I totally recommend investing in one. And even if you just make it a couch blanket, like you fully unzip it and leave it flat, like it's still so nice. It's so toasty, they're so comfy, they tend to be really soft. Like, it's so super worth it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I know that's not really a financial topic, but like I said at the start of the video, being prepared for an emergency is usually cheaper and it usually gives you really good peace of mind, and both of those are so important. And I know not everyone has the money for things like a big financial buffer or, to shell out for all these supplies. It's something that definitely just collecting in little pieces over years can be really handy to do. Like, I've bought my candles over years and years and years. Some things you can even get from the dollar store. So I don't know as if you can get full gallons of water, but even if you just get a few liters of water and you leave them in your cupboard, it's still really nice to have those things on hand because, again, as soon as you need them, it's so great to just have them available. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great spooky season. Leave your scary power outage stories down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.